So good that I think probably if it's me, and I think it will be, I hope it will be based on the polls, we have to make sure we have an honest election. But if we have an honest election, I think I'll have a very good relationship with the new president of Mexico.
Mexico has now become the U.S. largest trading partner. It used to be China, now it's Mexico. You renegotiated NAFTA, now USMCA.
Right.
So I wanted to ask you, how you feel about the results USMCA has brought by 3 years after it was implemented, and also this sort of contradiction of how Mexico has become an electoral foe, a political punching bag for some Republican hopes.
Well, I have to tell you, the USMCA has been great for this country, but it's been great for Mexico too, and very good for Canada. But it's taken a lot of business away from other foreign lands, and it's brought it to Mexico. And I think it's one of the reasons that Mexico, the people like what I've done, and they like me. I like them. And having it in the region, bringing it between these three countries, big countries, great countries for you could say economic development, you could say all sorts of different things, entrepreneurship, but bringing all of this business in through Mexico now. Mexico's done, in particular, really well. And we've taken that away from foreign countries, very far away. So I think I've done a lot to help Mexico, and I'm very proud of that.
Some of the other Republican hopefuls have talked about military intervention in Mexico to stop fentanyl being trafficked through the border. If you're a re-elected president, would you support that idea?
Well, a lot of people said it was my idea. In fact, they said I was going to do that. But we would certainly deal with Mexico. The relationship is very good. Look, Mexico doesn't like what's happening either with fentanyl and with all of the other things that are passing over the border. And Mexico's a victim of it also. You have a tremendous drug problem for your people, the drugs, the destruction of families, the death. So we'd be dealing with Mexico, but something has to be done about it. We're losing, I think, probably 250,000 people a year. That's like a big military intervention. Something has to be done about it.
Would you agree there's a shared responsibility on this issue, considering the consumption of illegal substances in the U.S., but also the role Big Pharma has played in creating this opioid overdose crisis?
Yeah, Big Pharma is, look, they're a villain in many different ways. I know them better than anybody. They weren't fans of mine. In fact, when they announced the vaccine, they did it one day before the election. That's okay with me. They weren't fans of mine. I got them to do things that nobody thought anybody could get really to do. And they've done some good things. They've done some very bad things also. There's no question about it.
So you do think there's a shared responsibility on this issue?
I do.
And so a shared also goal to end fentanyl trafficking?
I do, but we also have to bring China into the picture because much of it comes from China. So we have to bring China into that picture. And if we don't bring them, we're just wasting time. We're just talking. This would just be an interview that doesn't mean anything. So China's sending it. Much of it comes through Mexico. We have to work on that. But we have to stop it. We're losing, I think the real number is 250 to 300,000. It's not 100,000. They've been saying 100,000 now for 10 years, 15 years. It's 250 to 300,000 people. It's a very rare war where you lose that number of people. So this is a war. It's a war on drugs, and we're going to get it won. And we'll deal with Mexico on it. Look, Mexico wants it solved just as much as we do.
This week, you were in New York in court. Today, you're facing 4 indictments in multiple jurisdictions. Are you concerned that you might win the Republican nomination only to be forced to drop out of the race?
Well, I don't think you drop out. I think the people know it's a political persecution. It's a political hoax. This is Biden, who's the worst president in the history of our country. We've never had a president so dumb, so incompetent, and so corrupt from the standpoint of what they're doing. They've weaponized the Justice Department. They've weaponized the FBI. And they've come at me with the worst indictments. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. And I'm probably the only guy ever indicted whose poll numbers have shot up through the roof. I mean, it's actually been helpful from the standpoint of getting elected because the people understand it. It's a hoax. And everything they did, whether they rigged the election last time or this, it's the same thing. It's all the same thing. And frankly, it's the only thing they're good at. They're good at rigging elections. This is a form of rigging an election. So they think they can damage me. Now, so far, it's been the exact opposite because when you study it, And I have a voice. I mean, I have a voice with you. I have a voice with others where I can talk about it, whereas other people, if they ever got indicted, they're out of politics. They go to the microphone, they say, I'm going to spend the rest of my life, clearing my name. I'm going to spend the rest of my life with my family. I've seen it hundreds of times, as you have in Mexico, that I can tell you. No, it's backfired on them. And they would have liked to have done it more, but nobody's ever done this before in this country. This is for third world countries. This is for banana republics. This is for countries that don't do this kind of thing. And they've now tried it because they're losing so badly in the polls that if they can try and damage me for the election, and I don't think the people are going to take it. And I do, it's very interesting because they're all in Democrat areas, radical left, blue areas. I have a lot of radical left judges. I have a lot of, but despite that, I think it's all working out because the people ultimately are going to speak. And I think the people get it better than anybody else, better than we do. It's amazing. They see it. Nothing like this has ever happened in this country. It does happen in other countries, but these are developing nations. These are third world nations. So Biden is a man who has unleashed something that's a very bad thing, because when that happens to me, it can happen to them. And, he's a very corrupt president.
You say they weaponized the Justice Department, they weaponized the FBI. Would you do the same?